What are the forms of identity? There are two forms. Remember, we started from the history, right? We went to the deeper meaning of identity, right? And now we talked about the misconceptions. Now we're talking about the forms. There are two forms of identity. Only two. The first is group identity. How many of us watched the game between Paris, PSG versus Inter Milan? This game happened when I was in Paris. The whole of Paris was painted red. People were putting on jerseys. People were having vuvuzelas. Like, it was conflict. Everyone was screaming before the game. But when we talk about group identity, for me, it resonated with this game. You know, many of us put on jerseys, not because we are just putting on jerseys. There is a deep meaning in that jersey you're putting on. Now, there are three fundamentals or ingredients that make up group identity. Why do you belong to a certain group? One, it gives you belonging, safety. You feel, you know what? This is my pride. You stop saying I, you start saying we. We Manchester United fans, we Arsenal fans, we whatever. You belong, you feel you're secure, right? Even when you go to watch the game, you have to look for where these guys are. Where is that? You cross. That's why we have two sides on the pitch. We have the side that supports this one, the side that supports this one. Why? Because they believe when they're together, they are more safe. The second is that it gives us loyalty, trust and dependency. I'll trust this one. If you're moving and you see somebody putting on a national jersey and your national jersey in a different country, you want to go and say, hi, what's up? I'm also a national fan. Trust. The third is that influence, how we think, how we dress, and how we speak. The second is ego identity. Many of us, what is your definition of ego? When you say, that guy has, what do you mean? Ego is not pride, ladies and gentlemen. Neither is it arrogance. Nothing of that. Ego is the thin line between what you are and what the community expects you to be. That thin line. I think I am an MP, right? I have the authority, I have the mandate. Then I come to you, I realize you do not know me. You're checking my ego. I start asking, do you know who I am? Why? Because there is that thin line. I think you should be knowing who I am, but actually you do not. So in that process, my ego rises. But how does ego reflect in our daily life today? One, we have seen it through youth and social media. We are trying to impersonate. We are trying to become who we are not. Putting on masks, trying to show people that we are okay. Yet we are battling. That when you post and I don't like, I'm depressed. The second is that job transitions. You are here. You have the privilege. Maybe you're the principal or you're the head or blah, blah, blah. And you think life ends there. Tomorrow when that job goes away, there's a question that comes to you. Who am I, by the way? Was it the job or was it me? And that's what we call the ceramic cup. After that job, who remains? Your true you. So don't get comfortable. It's just a transition. And you'll ask yourself, who am I? Don't be trapped in that responsibility or in that role. The third is immigration, culture shifts. How many of us have passports? Or passport. Okay, how many of us have identity cards? ID, national identity cards. When you look at that national identity card, it has the picture of you, it has your name, your birth, the expiry date, where you're born, your tribe, your religion, and everything. Yes? That shows that you are alive. Your passport simply shows that you are alive. And it gives you permission to go anywhere. Right? That's why if you're entering a certain ministry or a certain building, they'll say, leave your ID here. But that passport should not only do that. It is a sign to let you know that you need to stay moving. Human, 12 to 18 years. And that is the genesis of the identity crisis. We spend 12 to 18 growing. But we are growing where? Outside, not inward. And we are going, for you to be able to understand identity crisis, we have looked at the two types of identities. Now we have to understand how do we acquire these identities. Because you can't treat what you don't know. So we're trying to diagnose and understand the genesis. Pamire will ask, what did what? What went wrong? Now, the stages are in 4. We have all gone through these stages. Remember, 12 to how many years? 18. The first is the mirror stage, infancy 0 to 2 years. What do these people do? The main focus is either to trust or mistrust. And they're questioning, who am I in your eyes? That's why a baby, the mothers in the house will tell. When you're breastfeeding it and you're not looking at it, it will bite you. Yes? Or when you're feeding it and you're not looking at it, it will do something to get your attention. Or they'll start crying to get your attention. Who am I in your eyes? Trust. The more you look at them, the more they trust you. The second, if you look at them, that means they trust you. They'll feel they're important. The reverse is true. The second stage is the explorer stage. These are toddlers between 2 to 4 years. They love autonomy versus shame and doubt. They like to do things themselves. Right? They'll pick a toy and they play about it. And if you stop them, they'll feel ashamed. They'll doubt. You may not see it, but they'll start crying for that of which you've stopped them to do. And if you encourage them, what are you doing? You're building their sense of confidence. And if you discourage them, your self-confidence. That's why they say statistically that a growing up child listen to 80% of no's in their lifetime as they grow. Everything is don't. You're killing their curiosity. Because now you are making them become who you are. The fun stage is the storybook stage. We know this stage. Princess, they want Cinderella's, they want those bags. We have the comic books, you have the Spider-Man, we have superheroes, right? Now, this stage, there are more or less of you standing in the closet and you're looking at different character traits. And you want to know, which one am I going to take on? And you want to try everything. And here, it's initiatives versus guilt. If you encourage them, if they look at a gun and a stick and they think it is a gun, you just tell them, yes, it is a gun. So then, because that's what they are seeing. But for you, saying it's a stick. Now, when you deter them, what are you doing? They become guilty. They become ashamed. Most of them are telling you, when I grow up, I want to become this, I want to become this. And many of us have been, we know what we tell them. Right? That's why when they grow, the things they told you when they are young, they have lost them. Because of what you've been telling them. And you ask yourself, but you told me you wanted to become this. What happened? You forget the words that you've been telling them and your actions. So here, if you support them, you build their sense of trust. If you laugh at them, they start to hide. Most especially when you go out with this age group, all they want is to see if you're looking at them. They'll go and play and see if you're there. That's all. They go and play, they want to come back and see if you're there. And that's it. You as a parent, you need to just keep seeing that they are seeing that you're seeing. That's all. Because that's what they want. The fourth stage is the middle childhood, between 7 and 11 years. And for them, the mindset is important versus inferior. Here they start to compare themselves with other people in the community, in the society, the people they grew up with. And they listen more to their peers. If their feedback is negative, they become negative. That feedback affects them. If it is positive, if they're in class, like here in school, and you discourage them, you don't pick on them, you keep picking a particular group of people, they feel inferior. They're like, I'm not important. And there, you're hurting their self-esteem and self-confidence. And they go out to think that they're never good enough, neither can they do anything. Now, these ones are the most complicated. The issue starts here. But remember, it's the 5th stage. It's the last stage, more or less. We normally forget the 4 and we start criticizing this. We forget our action and our word have already affected them. They've already bared fruits. Right? So this is the most rebellious stage. And here identity is more intense. They do not have the identity. It's identity versus Lol confusion. We very know they're very confused. They want to do everything. It's like takeoff. They want to try everything. If it's shisha, we want to go, we try. If it's alcohol, we want. Clubbing, we want. They want to do everything. They're very rebellious. They explore so much. They're full of confusion. If our responsibility as adults or as parents, we need to give them the space, but not the space of ignoring them, but the space of guiding them. Look at them and guide them. How much give them the freedom, but guide from a distance. If you do that, they become authentic because they're trying out several things. Go out, try, but come back and tell them, when you do this, when you do that, when you do that, and they want to check. It's like a checklist. Does it really happen? Then come back, have a conversation. We're letting them sprout, but you're guiding them. But if you criticize, if you want to grind them and you're like, what? You're not going to do this. We have their self-esteem. They isolate themselves. You come in the house, they go in the bedroom. You go out, they go in. You go in, they come out. Why? Because they know nothing good comes from you. So what are the 3 ways? Now that we know the genesis, we know the types, we know the misconceptions, now we have seen the stages. What are the 3 ways on how we can find our true selves? How can we find our identity? The challenge that we have, many of us stay at the bottom, at the shores. When you go and around Lake Victoria there, you look at the boat, what are you looking? Just on the surface. We never go deep to understand that tapped in that lake, there are marines down there. There's fish, there are crabs, there are stones, there are bottles, there are scrap, everything. Now, our responsibility to determine our true north or our identity is to jump deeper. Move from the surface, go in. And you cannot go in unless you're curious. So what is the first way? The first way is the principle of individuation. Whom are you becoming? Individualization simply means, are you becoming who you're trapped or supposed to be, or you're putting on a mask? What would derive the word persona? Putting on a mask, you're in the theater, you're acting, right? When you look at this puzzle has everything. Your role is to put it back in shape and get it organized. Blue on the same color, yellow on the same color, green on the same color. So there is nothing that you're getting from outside. Everything is trapped within. Your responsibility is to go deep and understand it and roll it to make it complete. The same thing happens with us. We need to roll our dice, roll this puzzle of our life so that we can define who we are. And once we do that, many of us very well know, when you organize your puzzle, there are 2 things that will happen to you, 3 things or 4. 1, you'll stop chasing identity in titles, in trends, or in others' opinions, but you are becoming yourself. The other is that you make decisions that align with your own inner truth. You feel quite kind of peace that comes from within, not from without. Then your relationship improves because you show up for yourselves. The second is the shadow. Embracing your true hidden self. You're going deeper into the ocean or into the lake and seeing what is there. And finally, you access parts of your energy and creativity that were locked away. What makes you alive? You start to know. The third is the archetype. Finding your inner guides. Archetype simply means your collective unconscious, as we earlier said. And your collective unconscious is the scripts that you write yourself. And when you are in this theater, you have 6 to 7 actors. You have 1, the hero, who urges you to overcome fear. You have the caregiver who gives you that empathy, that love, that connection. You have the rebel who wants to try out things. As we very know that our societies are not destroyed by rascals, but people who sit back and do nothing at all because they're not curious. So the rebel is the curiosity in you that wants to try out everything. The other one is the sage. The sage is searching for deeper meaning. What is the meaning of my life? Why am I doing this? Right? The other is the love, body of connection, beauty, addiction, depth. And finally, the creator. Here you're becoming innovative and try to bring to life things that are things. And the key here is learning which voice to listen to differentiates the moment. What voice? There are 2 voices. The one that tells you that you cannot and the one that tells you that you can. So which voice are you listening to? The negative one or the positive one? It's a choice. And once you follow that, then 1, identification has different stages, just like an onion has layers. If I ask you what makes an onion, many of you think when you scrap and remove, you find something inside. No. There's nothing inside the onion. Not so. Those layers are the layers that make up the onion. So your role in finding yourself is to identify those layers. What are the layers? You need to start to listen to your lesser voice. You need to choose the right guide for the right moment. How can I be in this moment? If you go, for example, on a funeral, and you find people are crying, you don't start laughing. You're trying to choose which emotion to portray, right? If you go for comedy night and everybody is laughing and you want to laugh, because that's that stage and that's it. So true identity is not choosing one role forever. It is knowing how to access your full inner cast. What makes you, your access. And remember that growth comes from noticing when one archetype is dominating and liberating others in the same scene. Finally, as we come to a conclusion, I want to remind you that everyone on this planet, as you're living today, your role is to build a house. And that house has 3 fundamental truths that will help you identify your identity. 1 are the windows, self-awareness. And the windows give light or darkness. It's up to you to choose. But when you give light, that means you're able to see what is inside of you. The things that you acquired, the things that you were told to that are not true. Let in the light. The second is the door, self-expression. Are you able to express yourself? So as you build your house, are you building each brick with honesty and compassion? Each brick was connecting to something. And that is the connection you have to do. And that connection starts with your true identity. So I want us to leave this place by ourselves, but also help the people that we are in charge of to build their small houses. It doesn't matter how big the house is. Have you started on to building it? You need to build your own. Stop renting. Stop renting, because when you rent, you're living another person's identity. It's a metaphor, right? Build your own. Build your own, brick by brick. And I want you to choose everything you're going to use to build that house. It should be a choice that comes from your true self. If we do that, we shall walk with our heads high, our voice sharp, and our shoulders tall. That's when they will know that we have arrived. Because who arrives? Your true self. Thank you very much.
That was where you said, when everything is changing, what remains you? Who is that? Now, there's a stage, for example, the 12 to 18, where everyone is telling you stuff. There's a lot of peer pressure. There's a very big possibility that this child changes everything, including their identity at the time, and something else remains. And what could remain is what the public and the society has been really putting on this child. But then here we're saying, if everything changes, if this child is trying to learn identity from 0 age to about 18, but they realize that what has been changing and what has been remaining is probably them needing to coil away and shy off because the public is, does that mean that that child is going to end up having that identity? Because then they think that everything keeps changing, but who remains is the shy Anita. Then what happens? The third question is judgment evolving. This child is evolving, and the stages of we used examples of evolvement and revolution. Now, and used an example of, you tell this child, don't be shy. And we say, this is judging. I would love to agree with you. But then I would also want to ask, is judgment both looked at in the negative and positive? For example, you don't tell this child that they're shy. You tell them that they're confident. But at the time, they're in a group where they happen to be the most confident among the shy, yeah? And you would love to appraise them and tell them they are confident without really putting the others down. But their next stage happens to throw them in a group where the rest are more confident. But you told them at the other stage that they were confident. So my question is, the judging, because usually we would love to say, no, judging is in the negative. I'm telling this child she's shy. So does that mean that I need to find another way of telling this child they're confident without really putting them up there? Because at the next stage, they might not find themselves that confident, and then they will think, oh God, I lived a lie the whole entire time.
If it is raining out there, if we have kids, we tell them don't play in the rain. We never tell them why. Because for us, we think if you play in the rain, you're going to get a cold. But is it true? Now, it is up to you as a parent. I said, give them the environment. And the challenge that we have as parents is that when I do something wrong immediately, I come and I tell you, you've done wrong and blah, 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 and we don't build on that thing. That is the point to say, you know what? You shouldn't have played in the rain. But you see what has happened? We're getting a cold, maybe you get malaria and blah, blah, blah. You build it at that point in time. Because now they will be able to differentiate, okay, this is bad, but there is a good side of it. So which one should I listen to? And the other big challenge as to why many of us have this mixed confusion, we don't know when to put the thin line, is because we have explored these options that we have. Yes, be curious, explore. But you as a parent or you as an adult, knowing these 5 stages, now you need to stand by and look at them and know which stage are these kids going through or this person going through. Then you come back, not criticize. Criticism has never been negative. It is us who have made it negative because that's what we have intended to align ourselves with alone. But you come and tell this person the absolute truth. You know what? Yes, you are shy. I can see. You're fearing to talk to your peers. But why? What are you doing? You're helping them to explore. Now, you give them environment, give them the opportunity to keep expressing themselves. The more they express themselves, it is growth. You tell them, now today, you're better than how you did it last time. So can you check on this? You're giving them a platform. And finally, the first one that you asked was about, I'm forgetting it. Ego. Yes, ego. And, the biggest thing is that we think ego is pride or arrogancy. It is not. If you have identified who you are, your true north, you're not looking for affirmations and confirmation from externalities. For example, if somebody comes and I'm like, Anita, you put on specs, will it hurt you? Isn't that true? Do you need to feel bad? Because you know you do. The challenge is that people tell us our true self, but we don't want to listen. We are trying to become something else. So finding yourself gives a streamline between what you believe yourself to be and what the community believes you to become. And that is the difference. Whatever they want you to become, you're rebellious because you've defined who you are. Christ is the best example. Hey, the son of David, the carpenter, what is he going to tell us? He had found his true north. He was like, me, I'm a fisherman. I'll fish everyone. He did not listen. And whatever criticism or judgment they did externally were not affecting him. Can we borrow that mindset? But you can't have it if you have not found you. So the most important is find you. Open that box that we have carried, that big bag. Go deep. Prune. And once you start pruning, truth be told, unconsciously, you will feel that you are you. Because you will know what has been holding you back.
My question is, you talked about the other levels from 0 to 18 to 80, but you did not talk about from 18 until...
When the world feels heavy and the night's too long, just hold on to the rhythm.
Lift. You can't change what you don't know. That's the truth. Now that you know the 5 stages, you need to go back and ask yourself, am I becoming inadequate? What went wrong? What values, what character, what morals, what things do I think I have but are not me? Now, when you know that, because now you're an adult, you start checking yourself, you start to prune. Because you know where the gist is. If you go back to the roots, you're going to change the fruit. But if you start from the branches and the fruit, you're not going to change anything. You're going to keep in the loop. Now, my advice to you, now that you have understood this, go back. I'll share this thing. And this is just icing in the cake. Go back and read. Try to understand yourself.
Mine heritage empowering mind.